What makes for a great website? Well, a great website is frictionless. Friction is created when you have things on your website that's slowing the website visitor down. We'll talk a little bit more about that. A great website is clean, clear, and simple. A great website is customer centric, not product centric. This requires some, thinking about how to make your website and all your marketing in general more customer centric and not product centric. Another way to think of it is talking less about you and your fabulous music school, talking more about how you help your client. A great website is scannable and easy to read. It should load quickly and should be optimized for SEO. These are also things we're going to talk about today. A great website has a dedicated web page for each service that you provide. So you don't want to have a page that has all of your services, listed. You want to have a dedicated web page for each service. So what creates friction? Well, excessive navigation menus is one. And here we see to the right, for a website that's clearly, just over the top and excessive. It's a little extreme. You can see that this example, it would certainly be overwhelming for a website visitor in terms of how to navigate. And one way you create friction is having too many navigation menus. Intrusive pop-ups create friction. Slow load times create friction. A non-responsive design certainly creates friction. Someone's pulling it up your website on your phone and it's not responsive. Well, that's going to be a problem. Long blocks of text. People don't really want to read the long blocks of text. People don't even really necessarily read all of the copy on your website, and that's something to consider as you're revamping or designing your website. Lengthy forms create friction. People don't want to fill out lengthy forms. Yes, maybe a lengthy form is important during the onboarding process, but in terms of getting people to reach out and contact you, you want that form to be very simple. Multiple font types, colors, and sizes create friction. It also creates the image of a website not being that professional looking. Again, clean, clear, and simple wins the day. Poor blending of images with text also creates friction. Okay, so next I want to talk about the importance of creating a sketch of your website. Any edit that you're going to do of your website, you quite often want to make a sketch. Another term for it is creating a wireframe. And a wireframe is a blueprint or a visual guide that represents the skeletal framework of a website. So what we see here on the right is it's just a sort of skeletal design of a website. There's no images, there's no text, but it's laying out the the sort of the floor plan as to how the website is going to be put together. Always a great way to design or revamp your website. And also this is a great way to communicate with the web designer, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. So here's, this is a real example of a website, and here's a wireframe. Let's see what, let me go back here. So what we see here is on the right, we're seeing an actual website, but we're seeing about four frames down through the website. So you see the upper right where it says music lessons to help your child feel like a rock star. Well, that's filling up the entire frame, the first frame or the above the fold on this particular website. And then just to the left of it, you see in the wireframe, it just has an X, meaning there's going to be an image there. It says heading 1, meaning there's going to be a headline there. The CTA means call to action, logo in the upper left-hand corner, menu call to action in the upper right. So what we see on the right side is the actual website, and on the left is sort of the skeletal design. So just kind of take a look at that for a second, see how everything is is kind of matching up. But that's what you ultimately want to do, is you want to create your wireframe first and then provide your designer with images and text. You also want to have your internal web pages should have just one wireframe design. So really you need one wireframe for your home page and then a wireframe design for your internal web pages. And that's it. Those are going to be your two main templates that drive your entire website. Maybe you can justify there being a third wireframe design. But again, take a look here at how this is put together. On the right-hand column, we see multiple frames within the website. The top where it says our piano lessons will help your child feel like a rock star. That's what's filling up the whole first frame. And then to the left of it, we see sort of the skeletal design or the wireframe. So here's some 7 must-have website features. And again, looking at these images here, we're just seeing more wireframe designs. Feature 1 is you should have a billboard style above the fold. The above the fold is the first frame that people land on when they land on your website. They call it above the fold because that comes from the newspaper industry. When you fold a newspaper in half and you put it on the newspaper stand, and the side that's visible to people walking by the newsstand is the above the fold. So where it says New York Times in the main headline and the main story, that's the above the fold. That's where that term comes from. All of your messaging should be customer centric. You should not be talking about your products. Primarily, you should first be talking about how your products and services help your customer, and then talk about the details. You should have reoccurring calls to action, which we're going to talk about. You should have dedicated web pages for each service. Social proof or testimonials, a very strong, persuasive selling point. And, oh, look at that, the numbering, that should say 6, not 5. Promotional video. If you don't have a promotional video, fine, but it should be a goal. It's really going to be a powerful selling tool. And the 7th item, which says number 6, should be trust badges. You should have trust badges, which we're going to get into. Oh, there's more. There's 8, actually. And then a footer. So 8 must-have features. And we're going to look at all these in detail. So here's the above the fold. The above the fold, it should be designed like a billboard. This is an actual billboard. And simple headlines, simple images. This particular billboard is designed with keeping in mind that people are flying by, 60, 70 miles per hour. So the design has to be something that a driver can look at for just a second or two and absorb what the message is. Same with your above the fold on the website. People don't have a lot of time. People want to move quickly. And so it's something to consider with all of your designing on your website, but it's certainly you're above the fold. You want to always keep in mind, how can I convey a message to my website visitor in just a few seconds? The 5-second test is something that we're going to talk about in a moment. It's this idea that within 5 seconds, people can pretty much get a sense of what it is that you're selling and what impact or what benefit it's going to have on their life. You should have a hero image. It should reveal a desirable outcome. Here, the desirable outcome is this jalapeno double burger, which actually doesn't look that appealing to me. In your talked about this, your featured headline should say, this is what our service is, and here's the transformation we're going to provide. Minimal options in the navigational menu, which we'll take a closer look at. We're also going to look at the triangle pattern that you ideally want to have in your above the fold. And the triangle pattern is a logo with 2 call to actions. Those 3 points create a triangle. Let's take a look. So here's the billboard design. This is, the home page of that website that we were looking at. The image is filling up the whole frame, and we can pretty much get a sense of what's happening, in this image in just a few seconds. The 5-second test. 5-second test is this idea that people should be able to look at your website and within a few seconds identify, what are you selling? What's in it for me? Well, what are these guys selling? Music lessons. When it's in it for me, it's going to help my child feel more confident. So they're selling confidence through music lessons. Your hero image should have a desirable outcome. So here's this kid, he's singing on stage. Clearly, he's like in concert. You can see this concert lighting on him. And the desirable outcome is that these music and acting lessons are going to help your child feel confident and set them up for success. It's not talking about the quality of the music and acting lessons. It's saying this is how our music and acting lessons are going to help your child. Your headline should say your service transformation. So we talked about the last one here. We're seeing it 2, it says developing confidence. So there's an idea of confidence again, and creativity through music. Something to point out here, it's really recommended if you're going to make a brand promise to only make one promise. The promise that they're making is confidence and creativity. People, if you people absorb that promise better if you only make one promise. So if it said developing confidence through music, people are going to have a better chance of recall. So something to consider. Nothing's wrong with this. I mean, it's appealing in the moment to read about confidence and creativity, but one brand promise is more likely to resonate. Okay, so your navigational menu you should really have only 3 to 4. These guys, they only have one. If you look up here at the top on the right, it says music lessons. The fewer options you give to people, the easier it is for them to choose, the more likely they are to act. If you have 5, 6, 7 navigation menus at the top, you run the risk of overwhelm and people not knowing what to pick. Triangle pattern. Let's take a look. So this website, logos in the left, a call to action to start now in the upper right, start now in the center, but at the bottom to start now. These 3 points create a triangle. This is a very common and familiar design on a website. And it keeps the eye centered in the middle. It keeps the eye focused on the headline, which is music lessons as cool as you. But the triangle patterns are super important. We see it here again, although they don't have a logo in the right, but they are called to action in the upper right. But your call to action should create a sense of urgency. Their call to action is sign up today. It doesn't say just sign up. It says today. It's creating urgency. Enroll now. That's another great call to action. So here's some do's and don'ts on the above the fold. You should avoid slideshows and collages in your above the fold. Studies have revealed that with a collage, the eye doesn't really know where to focus. And with the slideshow, when the image changes, the website visitor tends to move away from that frame. The changing image indicates that this section of the website's over. Avoid social media icons in the above the fold because you're inviting them to leave your website. Put your social media icons in the footer at the bottom. Avoid stylized fonts. Simple, they're harder to read. Just clean, clear, and simple wins the day. Your website should not be an artistic expression. It should be an expression that is focused on your website visitor and is very easy for them to digest. Be simple and clear, not cute and clever. Kind of covered that. Don't use punctuation in the headline. Headlines, there's no punctuation. Don't sell the industry. Sell yourself as the guide. So don't a headline such as, piano lessons help playing the piano helps your child be the best version of themselves. Well, now you're selling them on the idea of the value of piano lessons. Parents know what the value of the piano lesson is. That's why they're there. That's selling them on the industry. Sell yourself as the guide. So saying something like, we help kids be the best version of themselves through music lessons. It's a long headline, but you get the idea. Don't use a tagline as a headline. So a headline is, this is what we sell, here's the outcome. A tagline might be something like, explore, express, discover. Something where a tagline would be associated with the logo. I'm just trying to see if I can do a better job. But yeah, so a tagline doesn't describe your service. It doesn't describe the outcome. So it's important to separate those two. If you have a tagline associated with your logo, but your headline should say music lessons or music, and it should indicate the outcome or the transformation. Okay, so let's take a look at the below the fold. So the below the fold's everything below the above the fold. And if we look here, each frame has a unique function and purpose. So when we look, so again, the above the fold is music lessons that help your child feel like a rock star, looking at the upper right-hand corner. If we go down to the next frame, we see an image on the left, text on the right. We look down a little bit, and now it's text on the left, image on the right. And in between the two is a call to action. So, and each frame has its own theme. Each frame should increase excitement and build trust for the website visitor. Each frame should have a unique look that works in harmony with the other frames. So looking here on the far right of this website, these are 4 different frames that we would be scrolling down, and everything kind of works in harmony. We see the top frame, we see a photograph with text. The next frame, white background with 2 photographs. Next frame, we now see a photo again in the background with text over it. And then in the next frame, it goes white again where it says how it works. So there's a sense of symmetry there. Okay, your main sales message. It should be customer centric, not product centric. You should open with a hook. And a common copywriting formula is come out on a pain point, provide a solution, and a transformation. Let's take a look here. Look at this headline on the far right. The painful truth about music lessons. Whoa, a music school is telling me that there's a painful truth about the thing that they're selling. So the headline's building intrigue. What is this painful truth? Well, they're going to have to read. And it opens on a hook. All kids love music, but not all kids love music lessons. Building more intrigue. Again, I'm sort of the thing I'm selling. I'm saying, hey, there's a problem with this. So there's the pain. More pain. It says the problem isn't kids. The problem is how music lessons are often taught. Oh, well, that's providing some relief there. At the Cleveland Music House, we make music lessons fun and easy, which helps kids feel more confident. There's the solution. Our lessons are fun and easy, and it's going to help kids feel more confident. There's the transformation. And then I just add a little bit more of sunshine by saying our hope for our students is that playing an instrument can be a lifelong source of enjoyment. Not necessarily that last paragraph, but a statement, but nonetheless, we see this sort of arc or this flow of coming out on a hook, the painful truth about music lessons. Not all kids love music lessons, but then I say, hey, here's the solution, our music lessons, which are fun and easy. And the transformation is that it's going to help kids feel more confident. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but something to look at is looking at that first sentence in your sales copy. That really needs to be a hook. Okay, so a promotional video. I'm not going to get too far into it here, but it's really important to have one eventually. It could be a long-term goal of yours. Really, it's the last step of building or redoing your website. Video should bring your brand to life. It should be 1 minute or less, super short. It should be based on your sales message, should have lots of customer testimonials. And I have a podcast, Music Lessons and Marketing is my podcast. Episode 215 talks about how to create a promotional video. Here's testimonials on a website. And testimonials are, they provide social proof that you are what you say you are. You can make all the, claims you want about how great you are, but it doesn't mean as much as actual customers of yours, parents sharing their experiences. 3 testimonials is minimum. 1 testimonial could be a fluke. 2 hasn't really established a pattern yet. But if you have 3 testimonials featured on your website, you've established a pattern. 1 to 3 sentences that reflect the main sales message. So if your main sales message is music lessons that help kids feel more confident, your testimonials should, the parents should be talking about how their kids, have become more confident since, taking lessons at your school. If you can use an image like we see here of the parent, that's great. It's more powerful. And in my podcast, my Music Lessons and Marketing podcast, episode 215, I talk about using testimonials. Trust badges. These are great to have on your website. These are from reputable organizations, maybe press, maybe you've been featured, or recognized by some organization in your industry that lets the website visitor know that this is not a fly-by-night operation, that you are acknowledged and celebrated within your industry. Again, 3 trust badges minimum is ideal. Here we go. I kind of cover that. Logos from news outlets, These establish credibility, authority, and trust, and you can list them below the testimonials. Testimonials will be one of your strongest selling points. Trust badges, not as much, but it establishes trust and authority, and they obviously need to be real. Okay, so reoccurring call to actions. You don't want to just have one call to action at the very, oh, wait, let me go back at the very top. We can see here in this wireframe, CTA, they're in the middle. Each frame, oops, I keep going forward, has its own little call to action. When we go to the right to the actual website, all these orange rectangles, these are all call to action. So you're constantly inviting the website visitor into taking the next step. They might not be ready to take the next step when they're reading your above the fold. But maybe by the time they scroll down to the third frame, maybe it's, you know what, I am going to start today. I'm going to go ahead and fill out their form. You can have a secondary call to action. I'm not a fan of these, but there is an argument for them. A secondary call to action, which should be a button next to your primary call to action. You can use a pop-up, but you should be careful with those. They can slow your website down. You want to make sure it's being effective if you're going to have one. Maybe you have a giveaway as your secondary call to action. So your primary call to action is start today, enroll now. A secondary one is a softer pitch. It's maybe for someone who isn't quite ready to sign up, but you want to be able to find another way to capture their email. The name of the game with your website is getting leads, getting names and emails. So maybe someone's just window shopping, but they see your secondary call to action is some sort of giveaway. Maybe, we're giving away a month of, free lessons to one lucky winner. They got to hand over their email, or, a giveaway for a free instrument, a keyboard or a guitar. Having a quiz can be a good secondary call to action. So you can do a trial lesson. I don't recommend it. I don't want to get too into that there, but secondary call to action is something to consider. Your web form should be simple. Really, all you need is name, email, and phone number, like we see right here. Yes, you need all that other information to onboard them, but this web form allows you to start the sales and marketing process. Don't use a sign-up form as your enroll now or start today form. Again, you just want them to hand over that name and email to you. Research has shown that with each item you add to your web form, you're increasing the likelihood by 10% that the person who is looking at the form won't fill it out. So you don't want to give them any reasons not to fill it out. The more items you include, the more likely people won't fill it out. I just covered that. Name, phone number, and email. Great. So when you write about your music lessons, don't lead with the details of your lessons. Lead with a hook. Paint a picture of the future. So here, it's telling a story. It says, come on, play us a song, Grandma declares. The family grows quiet as your child lifts the piano cover. Okay, so we're telling a story, painting a picture of the future. And there's the hook. It's kind of like, oh, that's curious. I thought they were going to come out talking about how fabulous they are. He or she takes a deep breath, and an instant music fills the room. Toes started tapping. So this is all storytelling. The next paragraph is, our piano lessons are designed to help kids feel successful. Okay, so it's now talking about how kids feel. It's all about emotions. Now, the last sentence finally gets into the details of the lessons. By combining gamified learning with traditional methods, your child will be amazed at how easy playing the piano really is. But it's still, the spotlight is purely on the child. Not going to get too deep into it here. You want to avoid the curse of knowledge. The curse of knowledge is when you say something, like your child's going to be learning about music theory. Well, parents don't really necessarily know what music theory is. So the curse of knowledge is when you're using language that you just assume everybody knows, but they don't know. So you want to speak in very simple terms whenever you talk about music. My podcast, Music Lessons in Marketing, episode 118, talks more about how to write about music lessons for your website. So here's some copywriting tips. Appeal to your reader's heart, not their head. Talk directly to your audience. So say things like your child. Make them feel like you're talking to them. Never brag or boast. Never say you're the best or the only or the premier. Anyone can say that. And it doesn't resonate with people. Write less about your music school and more about your client, right? More about the child. Not so easy, I know. Address top of mind hopes, dreams, and fears. You want to be in your copy, in your sales copy, talking about things that parents are likely thinking about. Less of we and are, and more of you and your child. So every time you see in your copy, it says like, we do this and our teachers are like this. Ask yourself, can I change that so it says you or your child? Again, you want to keep the child and the parent in the conversation at all times. If you are going to say our teachers, you then want to quickly pivot back to the kid or the parent. Our teachers will help your child. Okay, so there you're bringing the kid right back in. The Music Lessons and Marketing Podcast, episode 161, talks more about copywriting. Improving your Google ranking on Google, just some SEO basics here. Your meta title and your description. Your meta title, see to the far right here, which says Music Lessons in Lakewood, Ohio. That's the meta title. You can set that up on the back end of your website. It should say, it shouldn't say the name of your school. It should say, this is what we sell and this is where we're located. Here it says Music Lessons in Lakewood. They can see the name of the school up above. Speed is important. If it's the faster your website loads, the better your SEO. Internal links, linking from one page to another is good for SEO. Outbound links, also, if you mention the word guitar, like, maybe you say something like, perhaps you haven't bought your first guitar. First guitar links to Guitar Center. That's going to help with your SEO. You want to improve dwell time, meaning how long people stay on your web page, by using bullets, headlines, and video. Google tracks dwell time. The longer people stay on your website, the higher authority Google perceives you as, and the more likely they are to serve your website up before your competitors. The Music Lessons and Marketing Podcast, episode 214, has more on SEO. So working with a website designer or developer. So first of all, let's look, what's the difference between the two? A designer focuses more on the look and the feel, and a web developer focuses more on coding and functionality. These are the three different kind of the top website builders: Squarespace, Wix, and WordPress. WordPress is more the industry standard. And nothing wrong with working. I recommend starting first with just a website designer. And then if you're really worried about SEO and speed, you could work with a developer who can help you with that. Where to find a designer or developer? I recommend Fiverr or Upwork. You want to share your wireframe with them, and then create a folder with your images and references on your wireframe. Indicate which sections of text belong where on your wireframe. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I know I covered a lot here, and but want you to kind of go through this, take some notes, and then then we'll take a look at the video that actually provides you with a review of your website.